Before the First World War, the development route of military aircraft was not clear, and the classification of aircraft such as bombers, fighters, attack aircraft, and reconnaissance aircraft was still vague. However, there are always people who dare to explore. The aviation guru Sikorsky was such a person. Before the First World War, he developed the Muremetz aircraft, originally a type of commercial transport aircraft, which later evolved into the world's first four-engine heavy bomber. The Muremetz aircraft itself was Sikorsky's experimental work. The first prototype flew in 1913. This large-winged biplane could be described as the luxury car of the sky at that time. In addition to the crew's cockpit, there was a luxurious passenger cabin with a lounge, bedroom, and bathroom. A small wind-driven generator provided power for lighting, and hot air from the engine compartment provided heating. For Sikorsky, the biggest success of this aircraft was proving that the development direction of multi-engine large aircraft was correct. The second prototype, in early 1914, carried 16 passengers and completed a long-distance flight of 1,200 kilometers, which earned the aircraft the honorary name Kiev because the flight route was from St. Petersburg to Kiev. This achievement alone was enough to make Sikorsky one of the world's top designers. Unfortunately, not long after, the First World War broke out, and the Muremetz aircraft did not embark on its commercial path, but was forced into the military field. However, this twist of fate actually illuminated the technological path of heavy bombers. The aircraft in the bomber version was slightly smaller than the original model. The aircraft had a biplane structure, with an upper wingspan of 29.8 meters and a lower wingspan of 21 meters. A large number of cables and other connections were used between the wings and the fuselage, and the wings and fuselage were covered with fabric. The fixed landing gear included both wheeled and ski-type landing gear, and a large horizontal tail was located at the rear of the aircraft. As a bomber, the Muremetz could carry up to 800 kilograms of bombs on its internal racks. The actual weight of the payload was adjusted according to the operational range required, in order to allocate weight for fuel, defensive weapons, etc. Therefore, it usually did not carry the maximum load. However, in the early days of the First World War, it was still a Hercules in the ranks of the bombers. Its long-range advantage allowed the aircraft to appear in unexpected locations for bombing missions. Unlike other military aircraft at the time, it was powered by four 150-horsepower V8 water-cooled piston engines, allowing the bomber to reach a maximum speed of 110 km per hour. In the event of engine failure, the crew could also repair the engines through a passage between the wings. The Muremetz bomber was continuously improved during the war, and the S-27E model built in 1916 was equipped with 220 horsepower engines, resulting in significant improvements in flight speed and payload capacity. The aircraft also was the first to use advanced equipment such as a bombing sight and an electric bomb release mechanism. It also featured a dedicated navigator. In short, the aircraft established the basic elements of a heavy bomber. With its enormous carrying capacity, the crew configuration of this series of bombers was quite rich. The standard crew was 6 people, and the number of personnel during combat generally varied between 4 and 8 people, with a maximum of 12. Most of the time, the aircraft used machine guns as defensive weapons, and also experimented with installing recoilless guns and other weapons. At its maximum, the aircraft was equipped with as many as 9 machine guns, distributed throughout the aircraft, including the rear fuselage and possibly the front of the tail. Enemy pilots were often reluctant to engage with this type of first-generation, firepower hedgehog, as they would face the bomber's defensive machine guns no matter which direction they attacked from. Many articles about the Muremetz bomber mention a battle in September 1916, where a bomber was attacked by 4 German Albatros fighter planes. The bomber successfully shot down 3 of the enemy fighters before making a forced landing. 3 of the crew members were injured, but the bomber was later repaired, demonstrating its strong survivability. In fact, during the war, only 2 bombers were fatally damaged on the front lines. Most of the losses of this model were due to repeated use, resulting in wear and aging of parts, which led to them being retired. After the end of the First World War, the Muremetz bomber continued to be produced at a slow pace. The total production of the entire series was no less than 85 aircraft. After the war, these aircraft were used for commercial transport or for military school instruction, and were soon phased out.